This was the piece de resistance. This was the piece de resistance. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly vlog, and I've just got back from Rome, so that literally just finished up my Rome vlog, so that's all live and you can go have a little look at that. I did have a good time, though be prepared for a couple of rants. Regardless, it was a nice time, but now I'm back home. I've got loads of washing and bits to do, but also I want to start off my reading week and everything I want to do. So this week I'm going to be starting Small Favours by Erin A. Craig. I am buddy reading this with Steph over at Skim with Steph and Ellie from Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. I will have both of them linked below. I'm very excited. This book is split in 2 seasons, so we've decided that each week we're going to read a season. So the first one, I think it was summer they were saying. Yes, summer. And this one is 13 chapters, so I want to make a start on this. I don't know how long the 13 chapters is, so whether I finish that section today or not, I don't know, but I definitely want to start it. I really don't know too much about it. Actually, none of us really do. We've kept it really vague. We just know that we've all read House of Salt and Sorrow and really enjoyed that book, which was a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. I had this one on my TBR for ages and I asked if they would like to buddy read it, as we all liked the first book, and they agreed. But I don't know too much about it. I just know that this has taken place in a small town and there is some creepy stuff going on. This is going to be fun. I'm really intrigued. I cannot wait to talk to them about it. I really enjoyed our last buddy read that we did, being able to chat about the books. This will be a month-long readathon, so I will not be finishing it this week, but I'm very happy with that because I love coming back to a book. I've noticed that normally, I've said this a lot actually, so I can't even say normally anymore, but I definitely used to just sit down and read the one book and read it in full, whereas doing buddy reads has made me really appreciate taking a book slowly. It's just so much fun, and it's really nice to have a book to go back to that you're discussing with friends and enjoying and taking your time with, alongside the books that I read a bit faster. I don't know if that makes any sense, I don't know. But this is the book that I'm going to be picking up today, and we'll see how far I actually get with it. Also today I want to pop out to the town and pick up a Nintendo game. There is a Bratz game out, and you know what? I want to do it. I want to play it. I want to have fun with it. I remember with the PlayStation 1, me and my sisters had a Bratz game that we would play all the time, and we would play it together. We'd watch each other play and stuff, always be fighting over whose turn it was to play, and I just kind of want a bit of that fun back. So I saw it coming out and I was like, you know what? Yes, we're going to get that. I'm really sorry about my hair. The walk from the station to here, I got caught in a bit of rain and it's just, it's gone everywhere. But I think you guys are used to the weird hair and everything on this channel because it's just the way it is. But yeah, so those are the plans. I also need to do some washing, obviously all washing from holiday, and I need to edit the Rome vlog so it's actually up in time. So there is things that I need to do, but I definitely want to play a bit of the Bratz game and I want to read some of this. So we should probably get on with that, but I also need to eat. It is just after 12 now, so I think I'm gonna have lunch first before I do anything else. Maybe I'll read this with lunch. It makes sense. I'm gonna do that. And I'll probably see you tomorrow morning. I'm back to work tomorrow, so I've only got today to kind of get everything done. But again, I don't really mind that. We're having a tangent and I'm too hungry for the tangent, so we're gonna stop. I'm gonna go eat. And like I said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. good morning. I had a rather nice day off yesterday actually. It was really enjoyable just to relax and everything after coming back from the holiday. My plants are having a little drink, so they're behind me. I really like having them here, but it's just not sunny enough for them here. Beside the point. So yesterday I did actually pick up the Bratz game and I started playing it, and it's a lot of fun actually. There could be a lot of improvements, don't get me wrong, like the graphics and stuff is really basic, and even the gameplay and everything, it is really basic. However, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I mean, I don't play on my Switch all the time. I just have a couple of games, mainly Animal Crossing, Pokemon, and now trying out this one. And it is just a bit of fun to relax to, and I normally have like YouTube on in the background and stuff, and it's just chill time, especially because it's away from like reading, anything basically to do with YouTube. It's just relaxing, and that's all it was. So yeah, I only played for a couple of hours. I did an hour, then we did some cooking and stuff, and then chilled for another hour, and that was it. It's definitely a game that I don't think I could play for more than an hour at a time because it is so simple in that, but also it's one that I know that I'm going to gravitate towards when I do just want to relax and I'm tired and I don't want to do anything else. So that works lovely. Then yesterday I did also, well, obviously yesterday, that's what we're talking about, but in the evening of yesterday I did start the buddy read, which is Small Favours, and I got to chapter 6, page 57, and the first 13 chapters actually is like 150 pages, and I didn't realise. Definitely going to be taking my time with this one. I think I'm probably going to do like 50 pages a day. We'll see how it goes, because I'm actually literally just a few moments before this update my partner called me to say that he's popping into Bromley and did I want to meet him before I go to work, and then we're also going to have a chai latte and sit down, probably have my lunch there. So I don't know whether I'm going to get my 50 pages read of this, but I do have till the end of the week, so it's not a massive rush to try and get the next 100 pages read. I'm quite happy to take my time with this, to be honest. It is really creepy. I'm actually really enjoying it. So the first few chapters we're just setting up our character and like obviously who we're following, and that's Ellery Downing. Ellery is 18 years old. She lives in this really reclusive town, like they don't really have access to anything outside of the town. There is like a forest that borders it and no one can really go through there apart from twice a year where they do supply runs into the towns and that beyond their borders. As a result, this town is really backwards in a way. It kind of feels like a cult. That's what the vibe's giving me. It's like a cult. And because of that, it feels so creepy, and I like it because of that. It's another one that I do think reading in this time of year is quite good for it because of all those spooky vibes. And it's also a bit confusing because we're in the middle of summer, so obviously the part that I'm reading, we're in the middle of summer, and yet there's so many sinister things that have gone on. So like a horse has been attacked and shredded, and the claw marks and everything from it are massive. They're like nothing that they would normally have in the woods and stuff, and people are really creeped out by it. And generations ago they would talk about these monsters and stuff, but no one really believed in it, and now they're questioning, are these monsters back? It's really interesting. Ellery's father is a beekeeper, hence all the bees and everything on this, which I really liked. You would actually learn quite a bit about beekeeping, which I thought was a really nice addition in this. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. There's a lot of beautiful imagery of like nature and stuff, but there is just this sinister undercurrent, and I do think it's really going to develop. I'm really intrigued, really pleased with this one, but I think the main thing for me at the moment is just how much this town is feeling like a cult, and I'm really enjoying that. But as said, I do have work today and I am meeting my partner. Before I meet him I need to cook my lunch, so we're going to go and do that. I can't. So yesterday I was saying to you how I was really over pasta and stuff, and then for dinner I was so lazy that all I could be bothered to cook was pasta. But I really enjoyed it actually. I tried this new sauce that I found on TikTok and it was really good. I actually really enjoyed that. It wasn't even hard, like it was just mixing ingredients that I wouldn't have thought to mix, and I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that. But for today I think I'm going to cook maybe like a vegetable chili. I might film that for you guys because I know especially Mari, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, but she mentioned how much she liked the cooking aspects of this, so I definitely want to try and add in some more like whenever I do cook to try and remember to film it. I always remember at least once but tend to forget otherwise. Back to book stuff. The book that I'm bringing with me to work is going to be The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Now, I've spoken about this one quite a bit because I'm nervous about it. This is an adult fantasy book and I've been recommended this book several times, especially by people at work. They all think I'm really going to enjoy it. I have also been told, like Eric told me, how this book, the first one, wraps up really nicely, so if you don't want to continue on with the series you don't have to. But I need to give this a try. I'm just a bit nervous because I tried it years and years ago. I say I tried it, I read the first page and then just put it down. We're going to give this one a try. I feel like this is a good pairing because then I've got an adult fantasy paired with a more like horror-esque book, so I feel like these two are going to be good to pair together. This one is a bit of a long one though. I am a bit daunted because it's actually, oh, that looks like part of the second book. Oh no, it's an epilogue. Oh gosh, okay. 530 pages. So I don't know how much of this I'm going to get read. I do have work for the next 4 days in the evenings, so I'll be taking it with me. We'll see how much I actually get read. Might be able to do it by Sunday, maybe finishing it up Sunday. I don't know. But we both know, we all know that I plan my reading like for the week down to the days of when I'm aiming to get books finished by, and then it doesn't ever really happen, and I don't know why I do it to myself. Putting pressure on myself for no reason because I have OCD and I just love to be organised. Regardless, this is the book that I'm bringing with me. So there we go, that's the plan for today, and yeah, I guess I'll bring you to Bromley with me. At the minute it is looking beautiful, but I don't trust it because it did say it's going to rain today. Of course it's going to rain because I'm back to work, and last week before I went away I literally got rained on every day at work, so we're back to that, I think. So anyway, I'm just rambling and I actually have stuff to do so I can meet my partner, so I'm going to cook and then we'll go from there. I was planning on having a soup for lunch, but that's gone out the window. Maybe the Starbucks will have a soup, I don't know. Anyway, rambling, let's go. I'm feeling very schoolgirl-esque today, but it is actually just my work top with a pink jumper shoved over the top because it's been getting really cold in the evenings at work. Obviously, I work outside and we are getting into winter, so that's not surprising. Regardless, tangents aside, I read quite a decent chunk yesterday. I'm actually quite impressed. I did manage to read 50 pages of Small Favours before I met my partner yesterday, so I'm now up to chapter 10, page 105, so I'm hoping that today I'll be able to finish off the last 3 chapters for what I need to read this week. And these last 5 chapters were really interesting because we have strangers that have come to Amity Falls, which is the town that this is all based in, and they are hunters. They are going out into the woods to hunt for pelts and things like that to be able to sell. They don't know what's going on with the monsters and things. They haven't really been told about that, and the townsfolk are very cautious of what they even tell these strangers. Ellery meets one of them called Price, although that's not his real name, and Ellery's very much like, that's not your name. Like, names have a purpose, names have to fit you, and that does not fit you. And it's really interesting, it's really funny. I like their banter and stuff between the two of them. I like how there is this mystery about who he is, and how Ellery kind of runs away with her imagination and makes up this story about him and everything. Like, it's quite fun, and it's also quite cute because she's like, I've never really been interested in the town's boys before, but now this mysterious stranger. And I like that, it's quite good. One thing that I think does really impact me in this book is Ellery questioning who she is, because in this town it's very strict in that girls are seen as daughters and then they're expected to get married, have kids and look after the home. That's it. Very black and white, and Ellery's feeling very lost about who she is. She's not married, she's 18 years old, and she's like, oh my gosh, should I be married by now? And she just doesn't know where she fits in anymore. That kind of really gets to me, because it's like, you're only 18. Like, you live your life, but that's not what happens in this town. So that's something that I'm finding quite interesting to read through this. It's only like sprinkled through every so often when Ellery's thinking about it. Yeah, I think those parts are really good. Alongside the fact that we've had strangers come into the town, we also have animals that are not quite right. So they've had elk or deer which have had an extra leg that they found in the woods, or horns that are all over the place and stuff. Like, they're quite monstrous and grotesque. They've had some of their own livestock, so like horses giving birth but they weren't pregnant. All of their like fowl, I think, is it fowls? I'm not quite sure, but all the baby horses, they've been born with, again, some strange deformities about them, where either like their spines on the outside of their body, or their eyelids have been like glued shut and stuff. Like, it's really, really unusual and really quite creepy. Like, the descriptions of it all are so unusual, and you have some of the elders going, this is what we had to face in the past, like this is what my dad faced, or things like this, but the younger generation are just not really listening to that. I don't know, it's weird. It feels like there's going to be something really, really sinister, really good, but it's slowly building up, and I like that. So we have the beautiful sunshine, we have the bees, we have all of this. At the same time, you have this undercurrent of sinisterness, which I really am enjoying. So yeah, I think it's really good. I'm intrigued to read more, hoping to get that 50 pages read today, and then we will be up to autumn. So yeah, this is really good. I'm actually really enjoying this one. And then while I was at work, I actually managed to get quite a bit read, which I was surprised at and quite pleased with, and that was of Liza Logmora. As we know, I was taking this one into work. As we know, I was a bit apprehensive. However, I did get up to page 77, chapter 2, subchapter 4, which, let me explain how this book works. So we have different chapters. You have like the prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2, and within each of those chapters you have sub-chapters. So you'll have chapter 1, subchapter 1, subchapter 2. Like, the chapter 1 is made up of quite a few chapters. I think that that's done well, because within each different chapter you're following a different perspective. Now, these perspectives are all people that interact with Locke in some way, because that's obviously who the book is about. And so you might have his perspective, or you might have people that he's working with, or when he was a child you had the person that owned him. I say own, he did, he kind of took him in as an orphan and then taught him how to be a thief and stuff. Like, you had those people, but you would get their perspectives as well. And so each subchapter is a different perspective. And then in the first two, so the prologue and chapter 1, the subchapters would also swap timelines. And that was really interesting. So all the odd chapters, so like subchapter 1, subchapter 3, would follow like a present day timeline. And then the even ones would follow a past timeline that would then give extra detail and content into something that's building up to it. So say like chapter 1, we're having Locke and his group of gentlemen bastards trying to pull off this, they call it a first touch, where they're trying to pull off a really big piece of thievery that's going to take a long time, a lot of investment. You get two different timelines of that. You get the current of them trying to pull this off, and then you get slightly past of them coming up to where they are. That's really not doing a good job of explaining it. It's quite, I want to say complicated, but it does work. But it did take me a moment to realise that's what was happening. I do kind of wonder, why wasn't it just done chronologically? But at the same time, it does build the suspense, because you want to know what's happening, and then every time it goes back in the past you're like, oh come on, I just want to know what's going on. So I feel like it does a good job of that, but it's just different. I haven't read a book like that. I could say that there's quite a lot of good humour in this. It's quite dry, and just the banter between the gentlemen bastards is really quite good, and you can see that they are like this brotherly companionship with them, which I really like. Locke himself was sold from the thief master to this priest, who is like a priest of thieves, because he stole 2 much, and he pulled off too many big things and it was just causing problems. And the thief master was like, I've never had anyone like this that actually just wants to steal consistently. And even as an older person, Locke is seen as this person that can just pull off things that nobody else can do, and that even his friends like the gentleman bastards and stuff say that we think the gods are saving him for some sort of extreme misery because there is no way that he should be able to get away with these things. The world and stuff, like, there's quite a lot to learn and politics wise and stuff, and I think just because I haven't read an adult fantasy in a little while, it's taken me a moment to get used to that again, but it's still quite accessible, so I don't mind that. So yeah, overall it's not bad. Actually, as a little introduction, I don't think I'm going to get much read today. I think it's going to be a busier day at work, but we'll see what I can get up to. One thing that's really good about having all the sub-chapters is that they're really quick. So I think the longest I've had is like 3 pages, which is so helpful. So I like that about it as well. So far, it's promising and it's better than what I expected. But there we go. I did meet my partner yesterday for lunch. That was quite nice. And that was it. Just work. After that, today I need to upload a video for tomorrow, which will be out before this one, which is the Rome vlog. That's about it. I was going to go food shopping and that, but I don't know if I can be bothered. I might do that tomorrow. And then I can read my bit of small favours and then that's done for the week. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I should probably go. Really? Upload that video? Do stuff? Yes? Okay, we're in ramble territory once again. We're not surprised. Come on in. Yesterday was quite good actually. I read quite a lot. I'm impressed with myself, and as we saw, I did get a bit of Bratz played, which, you know what, I stick to what I said when I first reviewed the game. It's very simple, very basic, but it's fun. Like yesterday I had a spare half hour before I needed to start doing anything and I wanted to watch a bit of YouTube, but I do like doing something else at the same time, and it wasn't quite long enough to do any journaling, so Bratz game. It worked. Plus, this is filling the space until Pokemon comes out, which is next week, and I'm very excited about that as well. Anyway, that's enough about Switch game talk. Let's go to what I've read, because as I said, I actually read quite a bit. I'm actually quite impressed with myself. So yesterday I did get up to the next part of the book that we're going to be focusing on, and that's autumn, and that will be next week. I also really like how each season has this page of just like nature on it. It's really quite cool. It's all black and white as well, which lends to the spooky tone. This was really interesting actually. It's getting really quite dark and disturbing. Lots of things are happening in the town. There seems to be a bit of like anger. Everyone seems to be really angry and out to get one another, and it's just, hang on a minute, I feel really weird. I don't have any rings on. I don't wear loads of jewelry, but I do go through phases of wearing like necklaces or sometimes bracelets, but rings is something that I love to wear. I have these 2 staple rings which I wear all the time. This one is from Scotland and this one I found in a vintage market, and I just love them. I do have another ring as well which sometimes I'll mix it up with, and a couple of other ones, but these are like my 2 staple go-tos, and I just feel really weird when I'm not wearing them. Does anyone else have that? Tangent aside, tempers are rising. There has been a fire. Somebody got really hurt in it. The depictions of that were really quite unsettling because it was really quite graphic details of all the burns, and they were so severe to the point where you could see muscle and stuff because the skin was just getting ripped away. It was just, oh. As a result, tempers are running very, very high. There's lots of things going on, and Ellery's kind of just stuck in the middle of it all. I can't wait to see what the girls think of it, so I'm going to have to message them and find out, see if they've read their bit. Then when I was at work, I was saying yesterday how I wasn't going to get much read. Well, I lied. I actually managed to get quite a bit of this read. I'm now up to page 160. Sub-chapter 4, and I think the main chapter is up, chapter 4, so we're actually on book 2. So this book, honestly, the setup of it is so complicated. So you have separate books, so you have the prologue, then book 1, book 2. Within each of those books you have chapters, and within each of those chapters you have sub-chapters. You also have 3 different timelines going on, so in the chapters and the sub-chapters you have 2 different timelines. I said how I didn't understand that because one of the timelines is just behind the events and why it wasn't in chronological order. I get it now. This book had me fooled. I was like, oh my god, this thing's happened, what are they going to do about it? And then I was fooled. I was completely taken in. So I think that was actually really done really well, very clever. And then at the end of each big like overview chapter, you have an interlude, and the interlude has subchapters, and that interlude is all about Locke Lamora growing up and how he was learning to become a gentleman bastard, so a gentleman thief, and how he was taught all of that stuff. So you've got lots of different timelines and stuff going on. It's kind of easier to follow because it is all surrounding this one person. There are a couple of things that I am finding a little bit, not frustrating or anything, but just stop me from enjoying this like to a brand new favourite. Honestly, Scott Lynch's use of similes all the time in his descriptions. Like, he could be describing a drink, how it makes somebody feel, or honestly, you think of a description, he describes it and then he goes like, and then goes off on one. And I'm like, I don't know why that, like every so often, sure. But it was to the point where I really noticed it yesterday, and I swear it happened like on every single page, and I was like, I don't need this much simile. I really should have like dogged a page to give you an example, because there was a lot, and I'm just like, okay, the person's drunk. I don't need to know that it's like this other thing. It's really quite crass humour as well, which I don't mind, but all the similes are then really quite crass as well, and you're just like, okay, cool, slightly funny, but do we need that many of them? And then the descriptions of the world itself do feel a little bit dense in a way. Like, it's not major, but I do feel my eyes like glazing over and wanting to get back to our characters, and I think that's just because I am more of a character reader rather than anything else. But that's not anything major at all, to be honest. Those two little things, like, they're really small nitpicky things. I'm just, I don't know, if it's a reread I have a lot more leniency towards things, but brand new books I am finding myself being quite a harsh critic about things. I don't know what's happened with that. Like, last year I was giving out a lot more 5 stars than I will this year. I mean, I don't really do a star rating anyway. I say that because I use Core Pile, which is just a way to rate the books, and then I can put it on Goodreads, and so that kind of gives you a rough idea. But even still, like, 5 stars would be like brand new favourites and stuff. I don't know, I've been getting less of them this year, and maybe that's just because I'm getting too picky. I don't know. But this is still exceeding my expectations, which I'm quite pleased with, and I am intrigued to see where it's going. And I was contemplating, because I had finished the chunk that I needed to read, to then spend this weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just focusing solely on this book, because going at the rate that I'm going, normally about 70 pages a day, I'm not going to get this finished by the end of the week, and it would be really nice to finish this vlog with finishing a book and the chunk that I needed to read for the buddy read. As I mentioned, I like having multiple different books, and I just don't want to read this all the time. So this is going to stay as my at work book for today and tomorrow, and I will read it Sunday. But before work, I want to read something different, a bit lighter. The book that I decided to pick up last night, because as I said, I read a lot, I actually went for a Kindle book, which is something I'm actually contemplating getting, is actually a Kindle, because I've noticed that I'm reading about an ebook maybe like once a month or so. Admittedly, they are more just like smutty books. They're books that I'm going to read the once and not really go back to. And because of that, I'm not going to buy them physically. So it works out really well just having it on my phone because it's easier. However, one thing I'm noticing is that I miss listening to YouTube. So I tend to have YouTube on in the background when I'm reading when I can, for just like a bit of ambience and stuff. And I can't do that if I'm reading it on my phone. I am considering getting a Kindle for that. I'm also thinking about getting ebooks of books that are new releases, but they're out only in hardback, unless of course it's like a particular author I absolutely love, or I own their books in hardback, so I'm going to get them to match. Otherwise, I think I'm going to just go with the ebooks, because I don't want loads of hardbacks on my shelves. I do want paperbacks. Because I have to wait so long for the paperbacks to come out, I'm really behind in everything, like when it comes to new releases. So by the time I get around to reading them, people have moved on from them. It would be nice just to be a part of that hype when the books first come out, of the ones that I'm interested in. So I'm thinking about doing that as well, which I think if I start doing that, then I should definitely invest in a Kindle, because it would just make more sense, so I can actually... Anyway, I rambled about that for like a minute. So the Kindle book that I'm reading this time is The Never King by Nikki Crow. And this is a book I picked up because of Read with Lucy. I'll have her channel linked below. I really love her videos, and she has a lot of like romance books that she recommends and stuff, especially like the more spicy variety. This particular book is a Peter Pan dark romance retelling, and I'm not quite at the part where any of the smutty spiciness has happened yet. I'm on chapter 8 and it says page 55. It's actually quite a small book. It's only 192 pages, but so far it's really interesting. So there are quite a few triggers warnings in this book, so please be aware going into that. For this we're following Winnie, Winnie Darling, so a descendant of Wendy Darling from the original Peter Pan. She has been brought up by her mother, who she believes to be mad, and she knows that on her 18th birthday she is going to go mad, because that is what has always happened to the Darlings in the family. And what her mother has told her has happened is that on the 18th birthday she will be kidnapped by Peter Pan and come back broken. And Winnie does not want this. Like, she's terrified of it. She thinks her mom's gone mad. She thinks she's going to go mad. She doesn't believe in any of it until the 18th birthday happens and Peter Pan arrives, and she realises her mum was telling the truth all along. Winnie's not as scared as she should be. And that's because, in my opinion, from reading this book, Winnie has been so mistreated by her mother. Like, it's very abusive, toxic, it's not very nice at all. Winnie is rail thin, she is bordering on the edges of starvation all the time because they just don't have money for food, and Winnie's mum doesn't think about things like that. She doesn't look after Winnie, and Winnie sees it in a bit of an unusual way because she doesn't see it as how I've seen this, as abuse. You're being abused by your mum, you're not being looked after. Instead, Winnie sees it as, my mum's really unwell and I need to look after her, and it's fine, you get used to being hungry, you get used to all these things. Like, she's been cut by her mum for things that her mum did to protect her, but it's just, so there's a lot of trigger warnings in that, just in that bit alone. And then obviously there's going to be trigger warnings for the spice and stuff, depending on what you like or don't like. But we're at the point now where Winnie's been kidnapped, she's in Neverland, and the Lost Boys and Peter Pan are angry. They are looking for something in particular they think Winnie can help them with, but their methods of going about it are not going to be nice, and that's where I'm up to. And I am liking it. It's a nice, again, it's like a breath of fresh air just having a different genre, especially to go alongside an adult fantasy book, which is something that I haven't read for a little while. That's where we're up to. That was a really long update, I'm sorry. I'd say I'm going to get better at this and do them shorter and stuff, and it never happens. Anyway, today I need to do food shopping because we didn't do that yesterday, so I need to get on and do that, and then we're going to read and see what happens and go from there. But let's go food shopping. I wasn't actually planning to do an update this morning. I didn't actually get loads read yesterday, and I haven't done any reading this morning or anything, so the reading update is going to come tomorrow, which for you is going to be in a few moments. But I have a package and I'm so excited. I saw this bag on Instagram, one of the adverts and stuff, and fell in love with it, and so I ordered it, which is not something I'd normally do. I don't normally order stuff online like that, especially like bags or shoes, things like that. I want to check them, but I saw it and I couldn't say no, so let's do this. I'm so excited. It's even more beautiful in person. Oh my god, look at that. That is just stunning. I love it so much. So you have this front pouch, which is actually a little clasp bit. Oh my god. So you've got a nice sizable front pouch, which is going to be really handy for things like phone, purse, keys, etc. So that's actually really good. And I like the fact that this part is a nice, like, almost like patent, whereas the rest of it's matte. So stunning. And then You actually have quite a sizable part. I'm actually really impressed. Like, I could easily fit a book in this, because that's my main concern when I'm buying a bag, is I like to have a bag that's normally big enough to have a book in it. I have one bag that's smaller that doesn't fit, and that's for like if I'm just popping into town very briefly, or just popping, like doing a bit of food shopping or something, where I'm not going to be bringing a book with me, which is very rare. So I was a bit hesitant, thinking, is this going to be big enough? But actually that's a really good size, and even though it's a heart shape, it actually has so much room. Like, that can easily fit a book, my umbrella, even my drink bottle. Like, they're the main things that I go out with: book, umbrella, drinks bottle. And if a bag can fit those 3 things plus my phone and keys and stuff, then we are onto a winner, and that definitely can. Also, the back of this is beautiful, and it's done in a way where you can have this as a backpack, that's what these bits are for, or as a shoulder bag, which is what I'm going to be using it as. And oh, the straps here, honestly, I'm in love with this bag so much. Yes, perfect. Oh my gosh, yes. And then you've got the adjustable strap here, so that's really handy as well, so I can just, oh my gosh, yes, I love this so much. Oh, it's so good. I'm so happy with it. Yeah, okay, I love this. This is amazing. And yeah, that's the update for today. It was literally just unboxing a bag. It is a beautiful bag. I mean, just look at that. Look how stunning that is, and all the detailing, and it's just beautiful. I'm so happy with it. So yeah, okay, well, that was the update for today, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning when I've actually read a bit more, and we'll see what I end up getting done. This was worth having its own update. Look how stunning. Good morning. It is bright and early on a Sunday morning. I am rather tired, but we have reading updates. So, apart from my very chaotic bag unboxing yesterday, I have finished quite a bit this week actually. So I finished reading The Never King, which I was talking to my sister about because she's also read that one. I think she summed it up pretty well in that it's smart, but the plot gets lost. So we are in this world where, as I said, darlings on their 18th birthday get taken away to Neverland because Peter Pan is trying to find something, and he needs to use them to find this. But the plot does get lost. It very much just focuses on the smut side of things, though she's read the next one and she says actually the next one's really good and you get a bit more of the actual plot line. That's also what I heard from Lucy from Read with Lucy as well. So I am interested. I will probably pick that one up eventually when I'm in the mood for that sort of thing again. But it was just a nice light book just to break up some of the heavier reading, especially because obviously I was reading Lives of Loch Lamora. Now I actually have finished this book. It was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty decent. It's not a new favourite, but I was talking to Eric actually because he popped through where I work, and I saw him yesterday evening as I was in the process of finishing this up, and I have lent him Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, which I absolutely loved. We were talking about it and he said actually Mistborn reminds him of Lives of Loch Lamora, and when he said that I instantly got the connection, and I agree, but this is a lot more dirtier and grittier of a book, I think, and there are a few things which I think are done very well in this book, but also things that I personally would have changed. I liked it. I like the comradeship between our little gang, as I already mentioned, and I do think Scott Lynch does a really good depiction of torture and stuff. Good being a dubious word here, but it does do it really well. It's disturbing. It really does make you very disturbed and stuff, so there are quite a lot of torture scenes within this book. There is so much that goes on. I do think it was a little bit long. I do think there were parts of this book that could have been like slimmed down a bit. Also the interludes I really liked at first because we were looking back on Lamora's life as he was growing up, and you were meeting the gang when they were younger and stuff, and I did like that. Then it just started to change, and it was some parts that I was like, this is information about the world but I don't actually need it to understand what's happening. That's where it kind of started feeling a bit info dumpy, which was a bit of a shame. The reason why I can say it's not a new favourite is because a lot of the descriptions, a lot of the stuff to do with the world building and that did feel a bit info dumpy, and I didn't really think was necessary, and I did find myself skimming those parts in the end because I was like, I want to know what's happening with our troop, I don't really need the rest of it. There were a lot of like political things in this. There were some different twists and turns which I did like with this book. Some of them were a bit predictable for me, but overall I did enjoy it. As I've mentioned before, there is a lot of dark humour in this, so it is a very much a dark, grittier version of Mistborn, I would say, but I do prefer Mistborn. I do just think it's, for me, that's the better book. Similar to Mistborn, that first book you can just read as a standalone and you don't have to continue, and I do see what people are saying about how you don't have to continue with this. The very end, the epilogue part, does leave a little bit open, so if you want to carry on there is some like, oh, what's going to happen next. For me, I'm not sure if I would carry on. Maybe if I saw it in a charity shop I might pick it up. I'm quite content with how the story wrapped up. I mean, obviously you have the whole mystery of who Lamora actually is. X is not his real name. I actually grew to really like our little group. There were some very like sad moments in this book and stuff, and yeah, I ended up enjoying a lot more than what I thought. I think once I got past the 150 page mark I was really invested. There was just moments in this book that took me out of the story, and that's mainly to do with the world building, and that was a bit of a shame, but otherwise really enjoyed the actual plot line and the characters and stuff. I do think Scott Lynch did a really good job with that, so thank you to everyone that said that I would like this. Overall I very much did enjoy it, and like I said, dark and gritty, so it was quite nice to have a lighter book to break up some of this, especially obviously also breaking up the start of it with Small Favours, which, as we know, I already said earlier this week, I read the section that I needed to and I really liked it. So overall this week's been very productive and I'm very pleased. 3 books, okay, well I can't say 3 books read, 2 books read and 1 section read that I needed, so that's great. But I think I'm going to leave it here for this week. So honestly, you have to let me know if you've read Lies of Lockmore and what you think, and if you've read this one and Mistborn, do you also see the parallels and which one do you prefer? I definitely prefer Mistborn, but I can see why so many people would like this one. But I think, I don't know, Brandon Sanderson just, I love all of his like Cosmo books, and I'm going on another tangent, we don't need to do that, but let me know if you've read both or what one you prefer, and if you haven't read both and you've only read one of them, or would you now read like either Mistborn or Lies of Lockmore next because of those similarities? Like, let me know. It's always interesting to have that conversation. But yeah, okay, that's enough. We're gonna stop. So thank you so much for watching. I think if you've made it this far, then let's put, oh actually let's put some sort of like weapon emoji, because there's a lot of those in here. Honestly, it's so brutal. It's quite a dark fantasy, but it's done well, if that makes any sense. Like, the moments of humour in this really break it up, and I definitely think this book needs it. But yeah, let's put any sort of like weapon in there, and yeah, okay, we're gonna stop the rambling and stuff, so I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it that thumbs up, subscribe, comment to let me know that you're here. All of those things really do help the channel out. Social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.